Good afternoon. I just wanted to do another quick update on how we are and also offer another devotion. The update part is pretty simple. We're doing pretty well. Everybody seems to be getting better. I've been asymptomatic and remain asymptomatic, so that's good. Kids are good. Wife is getting better all the time, so things are good. Just wanted to offer a quick devotion for everybody. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. It says, "Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." So, Galatians chapter 6 is about life and community. And the reason why I bring this up, or at least the first few verses are, the reason why I bring this up is because right now, of course, as it has been since March of 2020, we're in this time of pandemic, and in different stretches of this, it's been easier to get together and then harder to get together, and it seems like there's always another chapter to this. But Paul is writing at a time where for the church, it's not unusual to be scattered and to be separated. And in the history of the church, it's not unusual for it to be difficult to get together. And yet Paul is still calling us to fulfill the law of Christ by bearing one another's burdens. And what is that law? Well, that law is from John chapter 13, verses 34 to 35, where Jesus says, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, love one another." And so that's the law of Christ, to love one another at this time and every time, in season and out of season. We are to bear fruit in loving one another as Christ has loved you and as Christ has loved us. But this love is self-giving and self-sacrificing. This love will help a neighbor in need, of course. But here's where it gets challenging. Who do we help? Because it's not that it's hard to find somebody who we could possibly help. I mean, there are needs all around us. And if we slow down and pay attention, we'll see those needs. That will become obvious. But the problem is having that help accepted, right? Because what happens whenever you offer help? Well, typically somebody will say, "Oh, I got it. No, we're fine. We're fine. We're okay. We're okay." Yeah, no, but thank you for asking. We have it under control right now. Or we've got a lot of help coming from other places, so we're good. We're good. And these are all things that you might hear whenever you try to offer somebody help. And I have to tell you that when we first shared with the congregation that we had this COVID thing going through our house, we had a lot of people tell us, just whatever you need. We had some people ask if there's anything they could do. We had people tell us that they were praying for us and still tell us that. We have people that have been checking in with us, and we are grateful for all that. But to be honest, whenever this first happened, my thought was, well, how can people help? And so it wasn't easy to get my head to that place. We were jump-starting a routine with school, trying to rewire things for church, and just trying to get through the day in the initial goings, just sort of moment to moment, hour to hour, trying to get that sorted out. And so then to think beyond like what I was doing in the next minute was actually kind of hard. It's hard for me anyway. I very much live in the moment. And so this just made it all the more difficult. And I think the reason for that sometimes is that when we go through this, or when we go through things, interruptions, or whenever we go through challenges where people might very well want to help, we've been living lives of very carefully guarded routines. Something that gets beat into us very early. Maybe it's from our parents or families or friends or just our workplaces or culture or wherever, is don't be a burden to other people. Don't be a burden to other people. If you are capable at all, you're supposed to be a help to other people. Don't be a burden to other people. And beyond that, I think reasons why it's difficult to accept help is that sometimes it is complicated to find a good way to help somebody, or to find a good way to accept help. Sometimes our lives are so complicated that it's just hard to see a way for somebody else to come in, because help is kind of close work. When somebody is helping you, they're coming into your life, a life that we've spent most of our time building up walls around so that, we're self-sufficient and we have it under control. Don't be a burden, don't be a burden. So we don't want to be a burden, but also our lives are kind of complicated and it's hard to let people in. The other thing that I've noticed through this is technology. Technology is a useful, helpful tool and is a great service to many, but we are dependent on technology. So when somebody says, "Can I help you?" I sometimes think, "Nah, I can just Google the answer, or I can contact our new friend, the Uber Eats driver." We always get the same one, and so so maybe we can just do that. But the problem with technology is that it puts the burden back on me, right? And so as we're going through this time, it is hard, I'm finding, to let somebody help. But the number one reason, really, why it's difficult is pride. And that's because we want to be in control. We want to look to ourselves for all good things. We want to look to ourselves to find everything that we need. We want to look to ourselves so that at the end of the day, we can prove that we are self-sufficient, that I am all I need, and I am all everyone around me needs. I don't need help. But let me encourage you. If you have somebody offering you help, take it. Because here's why. When you accept help, you are letting pride die, and you're allowing gratitude to grow in its place. One of the reasons maybe why community struggles under different times like this, under times where there's a little bit of pressure on community, is because we're not used to living in community in the first place. And so I can go anywhere and do anything, and I don't have to depend on anyone else. But if we let another person help, then we give ourselves an opportunity for gratitude for the brothers and sisters in Christ around us and for what Jesus is doing through them. The second thing is that when you let somebody help you, you give them an opportunity to grow in their service and their love for one another, for you and for other brothers and sisters in Christ and for other people in their lives. You give them a chance to grow in their love and in their service. Now, I think that if Jesus came to you and said, "You know what? You need some help, and I'm going to help you." He's the Lord of heaven and earth. So of course you'd say, "Well, yes, Lord, of course you can help me. You're Jesus. You've helped so many other people, and it's great." And so that seems like an obvious example. But then again, we're baptized. And so who is in you? Jesus is in you. And who is in your neighbor who also believes? Well, Jesus is in them too. And so we also have Jesus telling us in Matthew chapter 25, in this parable of the sheep and the goats, that whatever you've done for the least of these, you have done for me. And so when your neighbor is offering to help you, Christ is offering to help you. You wouldn't bat his hand away. Now, again, I know that there are times where there are good reasons to say no to help. But a lot of times we need to say, I got to let somebody in. If not even for my own sake, but for the reasons that were just stated, so that I might grow in gratitude for my fellowship that Christ has placed me in, and also so that my neighbor might grow in their love and service and that self-giving, self-sacrificing love for each other. So anyhow, that's Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. Bear one another's burdens. We'll maybe do this another time this week. I'm hoping that I'll be more face-to-face with things in the future, so we'll see how the rest of this plays out. But since I have some things that have come off my calendar, I have some time for devotions like this right now. So once more, I'll just encourage you that if you do need anything, if you need any prayer, if you need the talk, I will be right here. Literally right here. I may be standing a little bit further away from my sink, because if I stand too close to the sink, I might have to consider doing the dishes, and I still hate doing dishes. Anyhow, God's peace.